the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
This is the Washington Times front page for Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's Midwestern charm had already won over the crowd at the Democratic National Convention before he walked onto the stage to accept the party's nomination for vice president. Jeff Murdoch reports his mission was to appeal to a much larger national audience that didn't know him. Walz's speech, which capped off the DNC's third-day programming dedicated to ordinary Americans, was meant to introduce himself to the nation as equally ordinary. Walz tried to use his biography as a National Guardsman, teacher, football coach, and hunter to showcase that. Television cameras panning the crowd at the DNC have caught more than a few delegates wearing masks. Stephen Dinan and Mallory Wilson report some Democrats have made a conscious choice to lean into the pandemic, making it less about COVID-19 and more about comparing former President Trump and President Biden in their approaches to government. Influencers and content creators are also attending the DNC for the first time, with some even scheduled to speak. The DNC committee said it invited more than 200 creators with a cumulative reach of 169 million people. Over the past week, they said more than 2,200 DNC-provided content pieces have been downloaded. As a result, influencers who usually don't delve into politics are sharing their views of the DNC with a vast audience of mostly young people whom the Harris-Walz campaign wants to reach. The bribery case unfolding against D.C. Councilmember Trayon White is the latest in a long line of scandals featuring politicians accused of lying, stealing, and flouting the law in Washington. Matt Delaney reports the councilman's staff issued a defiant press release saying they'd keep serving the public despite White's criminal charge. But from Mayor Marion Barry in 1990 through a series of arrests and resignations of council members over the past 12 years, D.C. has struggled with betrayals of the public trust. White was charged with agreeing to take $156,000 in bribes in exchange for pressuring D.C. employees to award grant money to his preferred companies. He could face up to 15 years in prison. And finally, a recent Pentagon-funded study finds U.S. military forces aren't ready to respond to tactical nuclear strikes by China in a protracted war. Bill Gertz reports the study from the Center for a New American Security found China's rapid expansion of nuclear forces means it's more likely to employ low-yield nuclear attacks. The Pentagon has placed a heavy focus on countering China's nuclear arsenal. The report calls for the DoD to consider building nuclear-tipped anti-ship missiles to counter growing Chinese threats. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.